sign-up sheets will be on that table. We can start with item number 1. We have invited the city clerk's office and the registrar's office to come forward for a workshop to discuss the upcoming elections and so if the city clerk's office and registrar's office can come forward. And also, if you do testify, we will be asking you to for your name and address. So before you start your testimony, state your name and address for the record, and then you can go into your testimony. So thank you for being here tonight. As you can imagine, the ballot is a big question for the upcoming November election, and we want to make sure that the residents know what needs to be done, particularly because there is a referendum. At our last meeting, I know that you were busy with training, etc., but the committee did request this meeting as well, just so we can be prepared for the November election, as well as anything new that may be coming up, particularly some states. I think that our state legislation was discussing about the presidential primary, etc. The main focus, though, is on the upcoming election and possibly anything we learned from the primary that you can share with us that might be of good information for the public. And I know that we didn't discuss the last session the petition that were submitted, and I know that some of those questions, I think we submitted some questions, hopefully it was just one question from the last meeting.
Yes. Okay. And then it was a recurring one question for this one.
Okay, so if we could touch on somewhat all of that, that would be helpful. So why don't we start with what to expect at the, although, you know, we gave you questions. You want to go just go through those? Is probably the easiest thing.
So Marlene has the answers. If May wants to start.
It's two questions, but anyway.
Okay.
My name is May Gardner. I live at 13 8th Street, Haven. I'm the deputy city clerk. Our office does a small part of the ballot, and we just do the absentee part of the balloting. Like this in the November election, there will be a question on the ballot regarding charter revision. Just a question, yes or no. It is on the ballot in every ward, English and Spanish. The ballots will probably arrive for folks who have already asked for an absentee ballot on Tuesday. As of tomorrow, if anybody wants to vote absentee, they will get a blank ballot with all the candidates' names on them. And they will vote over the counter, or we can mail them, or however they want it. If they come in, they can vote right then. It's a blank ballot, get a list of names, and then it's turned in like an absentee, and it is hand counted. It won't be machine. It will be hand counted.
I don't, did you state your name and address? Okay.
I did. My name is Mamie
Yes.
Gardner. I live at 13 Main Street in New Haven, and I am the deputy city clerk.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us. We just started anything. But while we are on the name and address, why don't you all get your name and address so we can do that up front and not forget to do it.
Chantal Evans, 1460 Across Boulevard, New Haven, and the Democratic Registrar.
Marlene Napolitano, 25 Russell Street, New Haven, Republican Registrar.
Thank you. And again, thank you for being here tonight. So, Ms. Gardner, as far as the questions that came for you, it was mainly if someone gets COVID the day before election day or on election day and suddenly can't go to the polls, what steps can they take to still vote?
Well, you know, they can, it's a good question. I mean, if you got COVID, why are you coming around people? And it's hard for us. You're gonna have to, the person that you designate to get the ballot, because you shouldn't be in. They have to designate the person. I don't know how they're hand in hand and space wise. I don't know, just give it out.
So someone can go and get an application.
It's like, it's as if, the application, 6 days before the election, you get sick and all that. We will use that same method. You call us and say, we need an absentee ballot. I hope you don't touch that COVID. But you need the absentee, you designate the person. They will pick it up, bring it to them, bring it back to us, go prepare. It's just one person going back and forth.
On the same day.
On the same day, only on the day of the election.
So someone gets COVID, they can't go out to vote, they can designate someone to go, they pick up the application, bring it to them to fill out, and designate.
The same person they designate, they will bring it back.
Get the ballot.
Right, take it to the person to vote, and they bring it back. Now, at that point, that person can either put it in the drop box. It's the same day, we're gonna get it before 8 p.m. Or they can bring it inside.
And the absentee ballot will have, what will it look like? Because they're coming in from another.
It's gonna look like every other ballot.
How about for that person's ward? Will they request it for their ward?
Okay. So when a person requests an absentee ballot, it gets a serial numbered envelope with that person's information, their voter ID, their name, their ward, everything.
So it's not going to be a blank ballot that they get.
Right. Well, if they do that tomorrow, it's gonna be a blank ballot.
Right. So tomorrow, because the ballots are not out yet, is it 30 days prior to the election that they are released? Okay. Okay, so folks should know that the ballots do not come out until 30 days prior to election day. It's really not bother going out.
Well, tomorrow.
They can do the application.
We have applications ready to go.
Okay. But no ballots.
No ballots. We just finished today with the printer. We should be here by Tuesday.
Okay. And the next question was, when do absentee ballots become available?
Yeah,
And you
the
answered
official
that.
date is tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
The official date is tomorrow. So somebody may be going out of the country, somebody may be going somewhere else to work, or just won't be here. They need to do it tomorrow.
But that one will be blank.
It'll be a blank.
So anything prior to the 30 days, it will be a blank. And
Well, anything prior to Tuesday, they're definitely going to be here Tuesday.
the ballots.
The actual ballot. This is kind of a sample.
Okay.
The ballots.
So the actual ballot will be available on Tuesday. But if someone goes tomorrow or anytime before Tuesday, either Friday, tomorrow, or Monday.
Monday we're closed.
That's right, you are. So okay. So if people go tomorrow, they will get an absentee ballot.
Oh, blank.
That is blank.
Blank.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. So hopefully you will.
There's a few too. There's a few people. There is a couple of million. No, they get a blank ballot, but they have to mail it back.
So they can fill it out with the appropriate information for their ward, you know, especially for Alder. Okay. Okay. And then the last question for you was, will voting be available outside 200 Orange Street on the Saturday and or Sunday before election? So no voting will be available on the weekend.
Not this time, well, not this time, we will be open later hours. We're usually open till about 6, we may stay open till 7. We are gonna get some extra help. This election is nowhere near what the presidential was. And that was the reason why we were outside, we had tables, we had all the hours, we had so many in COVID. So there's a lot of exceptions there.
Okay. So this election, there will be no outside voting at 200 Orange Street on the weekend.
We have not planned it.
Okay.
No.
Okay. That's what we have for you. Is there anything else?
We will be open later, like during the week.
Yes,
We'll be open to 6, 7, at least 7,
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. We will be open a few Saturdays, definitely this Saturday before we may open one another Saturday.
Prior to the election. So really people should be aware, look for information on the website. Will that be updated with all the information leading up to the election and which Saturdays
Yes.
will be, their office will be open?
And definitely Tuesday, all drop boxes will be open.
Okay. I'm going to open it up to my colleagues and to any questions? Any clarification? Okay. All right. We'll now hear from the registrar's office. So whoever wants to lead
We'll go
off.
back and forth.
Okay, that works. You have the question. Did you need me
Yes.
to?
Nope, I think we're all set. Along with the additional 2 from.
There were some from the last, why don't we start with these?
So, you want to start or you want me to start? Okay. So, I'm not going to read the question thoroughly. I'm going to say what the question kind of is about and then I'll give our answer. How are we educating voters about the charter revision on the ballot? We like the electors to familiarize themselves with the ballot in advance. As they said, they have it on their website. They can view the sample ballot there. We treat the sample ballot like we do our candidates. We don't go into detail on what they can do and what they cannot do. Number 2, what training are you providing poll workers on the charter revision question and how do you deal with the voter questions? So the poll workers do not address the question, just what I just gave an example for the answer for the first one. And then again, the sample ballot is placed in every polling place before they go and vote. They can view it and look up whatever they need to prior to voting. How are you educating voters about the ward redistricting? The information is on our website. We also send out postcards, and on our postcards, we did explain to them a couple ways. Due to redistricting, your polling location may have changed. If you have moved within David, your postcard has your old address, please call our office. So if there's any confusion, do not hesitate to contact our office. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, except on recognized holidays. Yeah, okay, cool. How are you training poll workers about ward redistricting and the confusion that it may cause? Besides redistricting, well, along with redistricting, whether they lived in another ward and they were already registered, it's the same process. Primary, they will office of poll workers with restrictions on what they need to provide to the elector. That kind of answers that question for that. And it also reiterates again from the previous question about the revision. Are we staffing the polling places in a way to ensure that people go to the wrong voting location because of redistricting and find out before they're waiting in the long line. We were not aware that there were long lines anywhere, and again, what we really consider long lines. So 5 minutes, it's not long. So no, and that's like they said, how about they do things outside because of the individual election? That's kind of the same thing. The turnout is not as big, so we do not have extra help to go through the lines and say, hey, where do you live, et cetera, et cetera. When they do get inside or they are unsure, a lot of people do ask, just, hey, I'm sorry, not to put the line, but can you just let me know if I'm in the right place? 6, how many incidents did you hear of people going to the wrong polling places on a primary day because of redistricting? Minimal. Mostly it was due to party affiliation, not redistricting. Are you educating the public about the double check-in regarding their party affiliation with the register to the DMV? And if so, what are you doing? The state is aware of that, and they are trying to, I believe there's another question that's repetitive to that. So I'm gonna give the answer. The state is aware of that, and they are trying to work with DMV to make sure that it doesn't change if that is the case. But like most documents, whether it's coming from our office or DMV, it tells you, are you sure? Blah, 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 blah. You're basically have the opportunity to review everything before submitting. Once they do submit to us, and it is through DMV, our office will enter them into the system, and they will have a letter printed. The letter will state their name. So if the name spelling is wrong, they can give us a call and let us know. Their address, their date of birth, their polling location, when their next election is, and their party affiliation. And if they notice that their party affiliation is wrong, they should give us a call immediately so that we can give them further instructions on how we can correct that. Where will the charter question be located on the ballot? As for what Ms. May has, it is on the right-hand side. Yes, the right-hand side. It'll be taking up the whole space over there. Most questions will always be on the right-hand side. And if it's a super size ballot, like before, it's almost like on the back side, down to the bottom. But we'll address that when that time comes.
But it's not right.
No,
It'll be
it
on
is.
the right-hand side.
Yep. Will there be same-day registration? So yes, and to further explain that for those who do not know, same-day registration is called EDR, Election Day Registration, but we acknowledge it as same-day registration, and it will be held, it's always been held since we started here in this building, 165 Church Street, across the hall, and we also use this facility here as well.
So the Board of Alderman chambers as well as in the meeting rooms.
Yes, they start in the meeting room, but we'll have signage that shows that, and then they will in here, and then.
165 Church, second floor, and there'll be signage.
Yes, and we'll most likely have greeters or someone to help direct. What outreach are you doing to local colleges about redistricting beyond postcards? So let's be honest, it's really just Yale, because Southern, most of those are inactive or they're voting from their home addresses. So what Marlene and I have been doing is we had a couple meetings with Yale, and they posted on their website. We have it on our website, and it's kind of, they're more tech savvy versus postcards anyway. So that's basically what we've been doing, conversing with them and make sure that they have everything up on their website. And if they have any questions, it's on our website. And again, our office is open Monday through Friday, except recognized holidays, 9 to 5. If they have any questions, comments, or concerns. What do you know about the municipal primary post-election audit results? I'm not going to go through them, but I can provide them for you. We will not have this up on our website, but that is something you guys can have if you would like. Yes.
Okay, so these are the audit reports, and so they're not posted online. Is there a reason why they're not posted online?
We just never do. If somebody really wanted it,
They could come
we're
in.
like you. We file everything with the town clerk's office.
Okay, so everything is available for folks to come in and view these. Okay,
Yes, yeah. Not a
these are all the same.
No, one at the top, it should state, one, or audit worker Truman, Jepson, and the firehouse. Okay. Number 12, do you have enough poll workers for election day? As of right now, we are pretty good. 13, behind, roll number, why is this?
You know what, those were additional questions.
Yeah, okay, we already answered this question anyway, it was about the DMV situation.
And Ken, you know what, before you go on to those, I just wanted to just get clarification on, was it the charter revision? Charter revision? Oh, it was actually question number 1, voters about the vaguely worded charter revision voting question.
Mhm.
You know, see Mayhew.
Go ahead, Miss.
Well, I just had to comment on that. We will give to the registrars, explanatory, language for the charter revision question.
Okay, thank you. And we'll post it on our website and then have it in office if someone calls about it now.
Will there be any boards explaining charter revision, or will there be some poll workers that will be educated on it so they can explain?
So we try to refrain from having our coworkers explain too much because someone may take it out of context and seem like it's procedural. Someone to vote, so we don't want to we're partial to everything, so treat them like candidates. But that May has brought that to our attention. We have no problem providing that information, and I will try my best to get a board for each polling location to specify. I do not mind trying to do that. Yeah, we'll
Yeah, because I know that's, we know how referendum questions go and people forget about them or are unaware. And so many people come out of the polling place and say, I forgot about the referendum. And so it's important that people are aware of it. And then just another question before you go on with these. That's in regard to political signs. So there's always political signs outside of polling places, and I saw some of the poll workers removing them, and they were already beyond that 75-foot line, and signs that have been there forever. I mean, I've been working the polls, not working the polls, for a long time. Even before Alder, I was always out there with the Democratic Party and giving out palm cards, etc. So I saw them taking them, and I know I called. So can we make sure we tell them?
So yes, they are told that, and if, to me, I tell moderators, if that is the case, bring the string out, the string is literally 75 feet, so it's no subtracting, no adding. And go out and everyone can see the markings at one time. And thank you, if they are doing something, please do not hesitate to call me. Don't wait till after the election, don't wait till days later, weeks later, month, year. Tell me immediately. I am very active on going out immediately to try to resolve any that thing.
Because there were some comments made that when we got to the polling place, they were already gone. The signs, and then
Where they put it?
probably in the dumpster.
They should be, no. Okay, we'll
So
discuss
anyway,
that, that's fine.
the mayor as well as his counterpart, they came back and put more signs up, and then they were starting to take those, and I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Yes, just let me know, but also if you guys can spread the word, or anyone running on the ballot, please remove your own signs after the polls is done as well. That would be very helpful.
Okay. Wait for Chanel to finish.
Okay, well, technically, it's only one more question because the other one kind of, again, it's a lot of repetitiveness here. So part 15, I'm only going to answer the last part that pertains to us. It says, how will it be made available to legal impaired voters? It's just like any election, we have an IDS system for the hearing impaired and the citizen. So it's always available for them to have access to the ballot either way.
Okay, now are those, what was that question? I just brought some up.
Number 15.
That was number 15.
Okay, see, I have it at number 1, which is what is behind the unusual number of voters? You want that one?
That was, no.
What number is?
She came in through testimony or testimony website.
Oh.
What is behind the unusual?
Oh, that's your number 13. That's the
number
one that
13.
was here.
With, yeah, with automatic voter registration, okay.
Mhm.
And then there was one what was going on in terms of voting confusion, run districting. Okay. So this
15
was-
has like 4, and it's all kind of everywhere, but some of it has something to do with the town clerk's office, which I believe May already answered. And regarding the question on the ballot, if someone has visual impairment, how can they still go about it?
Any?
Thank you for the presentation and the information. Before the last workshop we had on this topic, I submitted some questions about the petitioning process, which
Oh, yeah,
is not what we're talking about today, so I'd be happy to request for you, or I can.
No, you can do.
Okay.
Did say that it would be well.
Okay, so I have probably be able to speak a couple, like, maybe if there's more, we can, do it through. But I'm just wondering if you could talk about the original process of verifying the signatures. Are there multiple people involved in looking at these signatures, or one person's discretion?
So this is a difficult question because I know you guys don't inside portion of it, so you may not know exactly what to ask. So I'll start something and you just press it to that. There's 3 of us that check the petition, my deputy, my clerk, and myself. Once my deputy and my clerk do all that they can do to identify the petition, whoever signed the petition, if they can't and they reject it, I will double check to see if I can pull something out of it. That's what I'm checking process. What other question directly that kind of?
Okay, so is everyone reviewing the signatures, trying to instruct to use the same standards?
Yes.
Is there training involved? Do they get guidance from Secretary of State, sort of what state statutes and ordinances are using to determine the validity and how are those being interpreted?
Yep. So if I'm not, it's send the instruction sheets of everything that we give to the candidates, and we go over everything with them as well. And again, I leave my door open very much 9 to 5, emails, whatever you may need on our end. Basically, I give them a quote Bible to go by, and those are guaranteed signatures because that's the list that we are providing for them. If they go by that list, we will not have a problem. If someone signed today and died tomorrow, I will still count it because they were on our list. If they decide to go off that list, I'm not going to put myself in trouble, put our office in trouble because they went off the list and it does not pertain to their ward. So if they do go outside of that, not much help that we can get them. We have to reject things. If it is, whether they sign, we still need the address. We do not reject if they do not give their full date of birth. Date of birth is basically for us to try to find the individual. If there's 100 Denise Browns and no date of birth with an address, say Bella Vista, there's no way we can do it. So if Denise had given part of her date of birth, that's helpful. Again, we go the extra mile to try to pull. We want to see her come in. We want you to have the democracy portion of trying to get on the ballot so that you can have a race. So we do everything in our power to make sure that you try to get as many signatures that you can.
This is about 15 into the primary.
Well, is this in general, or is this just pertaining to this primary?
In general, I mean, that the primaries passed, but it's going forward, so we understand.
So our office only does primaries, and I believe the town clerk in the state does the November.
So then, what is the standard of legibility? And the same thing that would be part of
Again, I do my best that I can. If I see an I and a G, but it's a line, I will try to make out with that with the first name, the address, and see if I can get as much as I can out of it. But if you're giving me something like a doctor note, and there's literally nothing I can find, I have to reject it. I search by address alone. Sometimes I will search by last name if it's legible. And again, I try to part of the date of birth to try to find
it. Thank you.
it.
If, for example, somebody writes their, happens, their signature, the address line, or they sort of mix up the different boxes, they put them, but it's clear who they are and all the information is there. Would that be the basis for rejecting that?
No.
I think those are my main questions. So thank you.
Is there also an area for phone number or email?
No. And if someone put their phone number, their name and their address, it's rejected. I'm sorry, not the address. If they put their phone number in the address portion and their name, is an automatic rejection, especially when it comes to the alder portion, because what if you moved and Alder Festa is petitioning, but now they're on the Council's ward, I can't give the credit for that.
So on the actual petition, it's name, address.
Print, signature, date of birth, address.
So there's no, and that's the state statute, the state regulations.
We get this form from them, yes.
Because generally there's, when we ask for petitions for this board, we always want either an email or phone number as well in case we need to get in touch with them for whatever reason. But that does not exist on this petition.
It would be nice even for voter registration cards as well, but it's not an option.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. In terms of the petitions, what is the rule about how long the petitions are reviewed by your office and what access the public may have or a third party might have to inspect them to verify, to sort of look at which ones you rejected or accepted and do their own analysis of them?
That's like a three-part question. So, and tell me if I'm not answering because I'm about to go like a couple places with it. We usually try to do first come, first serve. So if the mayor comes in before an alder, I'm sorry, we're working on that. They have a larger number. Again, it's about how many are legible. If we have to keep fishing for every signature, it takes a couple hours. Once everything is finalized, like I said, once my ladies finish speaking for the primary, but in general, it's all the same. Once my ladies finish, I will go over the rejected ones to see what I can put. Sometimes I find some. Once that is done, I will do a letter of rejection or certification. Get right on over to the town clerk's office, and they become available whenever they say it's available. I don't know their process in their office. Marlene and I, when we first started, we were brought in, we had to erase what's accepted, what's rejected. Going forward, we have to talk to the Secretary of State to kind of indicate, hey, can we at least leave those marks so people can identify everything. So moving forward, hopefully we can get the okay to accept the rejection and the acceptance and what they were rejected for. That would be nice as well. But unfortunately, we submitted how it's brought into us, no writing on it, and it's submitted to the town clerk's office.
Just to make sure I'm clear, so if that is a member of the public wanting to go in and you can all some of these petitions and understand just the way that they submitted them, that's it, and for how long would they be available?
That would be a town clerk's office.
We have them on file for a few years.
Thank you.
And just one additional question regarding the petitions, and I apologize if you mentioned it, but if it's the same writing 2, 3 in a row, but the signature is different.
I will accept that because some people handwriting is not the greatest. So if you print someone's name, their date of birth, their address, I'm okay with that. We're not hand analysis. We can't identify them. But the signatures, they also find their name. They was in their own name as well. It's fine. I accept it. I'm fine with that. So when the back of the petition is incomplete or there's things missing, I have to redo the whole.
And there's a portion of the petition that needs to be printed on the back and notarized.
Correct.
So all that needs to be completed.
Entirety, yeah. As we tell them when they first come in. Yes. You can say we're done. That's it.
Okay. Next question from committee members, Alderson.
Madam Chair, thank you both as registration officer coming up. The postcard that came in a little weird. Could be from the post office or something like that. For the November election, what do you plan to mail out the postcard?
Hopefully in a couple of weeks. Anything before 2 weeks is sufficient. So we should.
2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alderson. Actually, you just triggered another question.
I think your mic is saying that we're done.
We're here no matter what. Regarding the postcards, there are residents that received it either after the election or not at all. And I actually, do you know, are they sent out in a timely fashion for residents to receive them a few days before? I know that mine showed up over the weekend or the Monday. No, actually it was the Monday before the election.
Oh, okay. So we have had conversations with the post office because to see, to make sure that it's getting out in a timely manner. And again, we work for the post office, so we don't have any say so in that department, but we try to get it ahead of time so that everyone can get it. 2 parts on what you asked. Some people will not get other postcards because they're not eligible. So if they know that they did not receive one, they should call our office and get confirmation on if they are even allowed to vote in that primary, because you have a lot of people that are outside of the Democrat primary who, I always vote Democrat. Okay, but you're unaffiliated and that's how you may vote in November. Again, you don't know who you vote for and you have access to the ballot in November. So that's between that one. And again, we always try to send it out in a timely fashion to make sure that people get it. And any confusion, whether they got the card or not, please do not hesitate. Please tell your constituents. Do not hesitate to call our office. And they can also go to our website to look things up as well.
And, you know, regarding the website, because that was something I was getting calls, why isn't like updated, not updated yet, not updated yet.
You're all good now.
This was for the primary, so we are good. We will update, and as news comes out, it will be updated accordingly.
Yes. Cool. All right, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Further questions? I saw Alder Miller's hand and then Alder Singh. Alder Miller.
This is, I mean, outside the scope of this workshop, I would be interested in what the registrar does in the voter outreach and education, like during the year. So maybe through you, Chair, if you could just request like a summary of what the regular work of the registrar's office is in terms of outreach, education, voter registration drives, stuff like that.
Not a
It'd be
problem.
helpful to know.
Yeah, and I actually spoke to a couple of your colleagues as well. I wanted to see some sort of event that everyone that's elected comes and see what their actual position is, and what, because you will have people who will say, "Well, the mayor didn't fix my street." It's like, well, that's your alder. But so when no one knows really what the position, each position is. So it's like little things they don't know who to speak to, and I think we should all kind of introduce ourselves in our roles, from sitting to state reps down, because I don't know the White House will come out presidential. So that would be great to so you guys do know what we do, so we don't get like last minute things. I'm like, listen, we're trying to prepare for election, so yes, it would be great to do that.
That sounds interesting. I would be interested to know, aside from something special like that, what is the regular education outreach, voter registration, kind of how it will work, so that we can plug into it and support it.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Alderson?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Follow up on the postcard, Ms. Evans. You said it would go 2 weeks. Any reason it cannot go a week or 3 week project?
We can. I don't have a problem with that. Yep, no problem. We can.
The nature of the post office and the postcard, you know, I would make a request to the chair if you can have that sent out 2 weeks.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to echo and support Dr. Miller's overture about us being more integrated in terms of our communication delivery. And so I certainly support that, and anything that I can do, and hopefully that we can do on a sustained basis. For one example, Gateway and Alberta, so the students that are not exclusively those are also catchment areas for us to kind of just help us with the city participation. We all know that the voting nationwide. To really do everything we can to increase it somewhat, but it's a tragedy for a variety of legitimate reasons. The burden should not be exclusively on you, UAs. Help with this, and so we have support older persons, older Miller's suggestion for reaching out to us. I mean, the NAACP has people have voter registration drives often, but still make it more massive, strategic, energetic, and sustained. Something that we all, I think, are committed to do.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And there's something. Yes, I appreciate that. We are all a team. We all are here to support New Haven. Even though you have your own individual awards, we're still a team. So we're here to help as well. I know Alder Torson reached out to do an event. So if you do have events and you want to set up the table, I'm telling you, we're done. I'm telling you. Do not hesitate to reach out. You guys will share it. Cell number, email if you want us to partner. Because we want to see New Haven strive. We don't want to see what this happened with people. We don't want to see that. We want to see more higher numbers, especially in the municipal election, not just when it comes to presidential.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, and I think we need to have a commitment from us in any way that we can help, because voting is a right. There are countries at war, but, you know, with people wanting what we have and going out to vote is a right, and
Privilege.
it's a privilege, absolutely. Thank you, that's the word I was looking for. We were just lucky to use Alder Streeter. No. Alder Streeter.
Well, I just want to make a statement. I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, explaining it to us, and I feel you're doing a fine job.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you so much.
Share this with the microphone. I think they're all doing a fine job.
I don't know, I feel like clapping, but okay.
No, really, it's appreciated to get these updates, because we need to deliver. what to expect, what is, on the ballot, what is happening if they can't be there to vote. Your office is a very crucial role in allowing that to happen. So we appreciate you coming out and sharing this information with us. And you probably realize something we do prior to election that it's good to have, but it's good to, we have to get the message out because we do want voters to come out and vote. And the more information we can share with them and have the proper methods of doing so, the better off we all are for democracy. So that's why we always invite you to come in, because this is good information. This is information that needs to be shared with the public and made known, and know that the website is there with updates. Know that your offices are available for anyone to come in and request whatever information it is that they need. So, we appreciate it. So thank you for being here this evening. And, to speak on, I know we said that the state also made some decisions as far as the April presidential primary elections. If you want, we could talk about that down the road as we get closer to the primaries, and we'll invite you back to discuss that, because that's going to be very important. So, and I'm sure there'll be other updates, because I'm not sure if other information has been actually defined yet by the state. They were talking about a few things about ballots, so some challenges there in some of our neighboring towns. I won't mention because we don't know which one, and all of that. So we'll have you come back and you tell us when a good time is, because I know April is the primary, March might be crazy.
Yeah.
So you tell us, come to me and say, hey, we want to come with an update on the presidential primary. This is what works.
You got it.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
For coming out.
Thank you. My apologies, everyone, for the microphone. Hopefully, as long as no one touches them, I think we're okay. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming out.
Okay, we will move on to item number 1, which is the resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders funding from Connecticut Deep. And I believe that's our Director of Engineering, Mr. Zinn. And just as a reminder, please state your name and address for the record and then go into your presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Giovanni Zinn, City Engineers, 95 Soundview Terrace. The item before you is for $650,000 of funding for 5 different uses. See if we get these right. $250,000 for Jack River Park, $100,000 each for Fort Worcester, Lighthouse Park, Fairmont Park, and the Annex League. This is thanks to the generosity of our state delegation, in particular Senator Marty Looney, and also Representative Lillo Jr., who I know spent a lot of time on this. This money was allocated to the June meeting of the Connecticut Bond Commission. And we look forward to working with the groups that are interested in these parks and these facilities to get these implemented. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Zinn, and we thank the state delegation. We count on them a lot for funding
Yes.
to help us out, particularly with our parks and fields. I know that firsthand.
Yes.
So are there any questions from committee members? Go ahead, Alvin.
I just want to thank you and you for working with us on the construction of the park, which are still involved. It's been a great partnership with you, state delegation, and in our system. So
Thank you. We're very excited to see the improvements.
Any other questions? Alder Singh?
Madam Chair, no other comment. Thank you, Mr. Zink, for going out there, these, state-funded grant for parks. We definitely could use another. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any questions, Alder Singh?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Giovanni, briefly, is this working with Deep an annual proposition, or are we going back again next year for more, or what's the process?
So this is funding that's identified by the state delegation, state legislature. They're the ones that allocate this. And I can't speak to their process.
Who would you recommend that I particularly speak with in this regard?
The state delegation.
One more question. Has this been the first time, or has there been a historic allocation?
I think there's been allocations through state bonding for projects in New Haven long before I was on the board. So I think it's something that's been very long.
But particularly pertaining to parks.
Yeah, I would imagine that's been, funded for my career here and certainly stretching before that. Yeah, I mean, I think, in your ward, Goss Street Park, I think got funding 2 years ago for improvements that were there through this process.
Indeed. And so, Madam Chair, so hopefully the Walters Little also compete for this type of funding.
We're working hard. There's a significant amount of work going on there right now, and we actually met today to be working with them and allocate also city plans towards that. So,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Part of the packet is the state bond resolution. Are you aware?
yeah, that's where the money came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they print the entire state bond?
Yeah. So
All right.
I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that. It just looks like.
So on a page in there, let's see if
Okay.
I have it open. I think they closed it. I just opened the electronic version, do the file search, and that's all on there. On one of those pages is an item for protection and a bunch of letters, and one of those letters is a list of parks and amounts that total $650,000.
Okay, so it's basic. I guess it's good for us to review on our own, just to see where the state has these funds.
If you're awake late at night and you can get to sleep, I recommend the bond.
So don't be scared when you see all these numbers in your packets, but I had noticed it when I was reviewing the packet, and I wanted to ask you what.
That's actually all city bond.
All city bond, okay. Okay. Well, I guess it's good for us to see this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bond commission tomorrow, and I know there's some press coverage already about some of the things on there, and I'm sure there'll be one tomorrow. The generosity of the state and the success of our delegation to secure funds is extremely.
And if this committee is interested, the bonds that for the 650,000 are on page 42. Which outline what you have mentioned already, the 250,000 for Quinnipiac River Park, and then the 100,000 on each for Fort Worth, Fairmont Lighthouse, and Annex. Anything else that you want to?
I think.
Yeah, you're good, right? Go right ahead and do it.
Good. No, I happened to be at that meeting in Hartford. I went there because the Port Authority was getting some funds, and it's quite an experience. But I do want to say, because the money's allocated to the different departments, it's the work of the departments that really make the difference. And engineering department is probably a part of, if not anything, every project in the city of New Haven. So I just want to thank Giovanni and his department for doing such a remarkable job. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on the item we just discussed with our director of Engineering. And for a third time, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on behalf of this item? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 2. And we will ask our Director of Sustainability, Director Winter, to come forward.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair Singh, and members of the City Service Environmental Policy Committee. Stephen Winter, Executive Director of Climate and Sustainability, 459 Dingsville Avenue. I hope the microphone is friendly for me.
Devon is in again, city engineer and Terrace. I was up here for last time we did something similar, but Steve's got a great handle on it. They can.
Well, thanks, and thanks to Giovanni, the engineering department, CAO's office, the solid waste authority, clerk's office, the mayor, have all been involved at various points in this process. Some background: the city issued an RFP in March. Of those respondents, Green Skies, previously installed solar on our schools, offered the best power purchase agreement rates and the best compensation for developing solar at the landfill. They also had the most experience who responded in doing solar on landfill and solar parking communities. Just 2 kinds of solar development that the city is interested in engaging in for the first time. So what came out of that, which should have been in your packet, is to try to develop solar in this next year, 5 locations. There's 2 school system, one at Hill Central School, and that's 200 kilowatts. One at LW Beecher School, also 200 kilowatts. The Hill Central array should provide roughly 20% of the school's electricity, and the LW Beecher roughly a third. There's also a smaller system of 61 kilowatts at Wintergreen to provide about 9% of current electricity consumption. At the Q House, a system with both a rooftop array and a parking. I should say the schools are parking communities, Wintergreen, and then the Q House is a combination. And that would cover about all of the Q House's electricity needs, which are quite extensive. The school locations went to the Board of Ed's Finance and Operations Committee Monday. They're supposed to go to the full Board of Ed their next meeting, which is the 10th. And then Giovanni mentioned the city has done similar arrangements to these 4 facilities in the past, the solar power purchase agreement. And it uses a program called the Non-Residential Renewable Energy Solutions Program, NRES, which is a program that the state required the utilities to administer, in which the utilities pay for the green attributes and the energy attributes from solar. So when the sun hits the panel generates electricity, that kilowatt hour of electricity comes with a certificate, not like a paper certificate, but an engineering certificate or legal instrument. Hey, this was a clean kilowatt. That's called a renewable energy credit. And so the utility will buy those credits, and that helps finance these projects. It also means that the city can work with a developer to finance solar without having to add it to our bonding, right? We're bonding every 2 years now. We aren't going to bond with the solar. The developer will finance, and then they'll pass some of the savings on to us. So it'll lead to lower costs of energy for those 4 locations. So we've done this twice in the past. We have 3 megawatts of solar on our schools, on the ice rink, and I think they've saved this. I couldn't tell you exactly how much, but a lot of money, especially given how much power prices have gone up since these were put in. These are all of these contracts are fixed rates. So as UI increases their rates, gas companies just announced rate increases in the last week. These will stay constant, so they'll help the city budget. These systems are expected to save the city about $800,000 over 20 years, or about $40,000 a year. So it's not going to like make or break the budget, but it helps a little bit. The landfill is a slightly different arrangement. So we don't have a lot of power consumption at the landfill. The way that would work is that these guys would lease the top of the landfill, which is quite flat, and install solar panels there. In exchange, they would pay us $72,000 a year, and then they would sell power back to the electricity grid. So over the 20-year term of the agreement, it's 20 years, because that's the period of time with the utilities buy those renewable energy credits. That was about $1.4 million. So in total, these agreements should save the city or generate revenue for about $2.5 million. The NRES program, successor to the previous solar subsidy program, initially a subsidy for really rich, but even if you look at some of the previous solar landfills, like in Hamden, took about $30,000 a year, and that's a large solar facility. Ours is 3/4 of East Haven has a facility, a little bit larger than a megawatt, but it translates at about $76,000 per megawatt, whereas our facility is at proposed at 72,000, so that's 96,000 per megawatt. We may be able to develop more in the future. So the power purchase agreement and lease agreement, we're working on ironing out the last terms with Green Skies. There are some options. So the city has an option to extend the power purchase agreement to 1 5-year term. And that would be negotiated at the end of that 20-year period. And then with the lease, there's 3 options to renew each for 5 years, and those would also be negotiated at the end of the term. There are some early termination fees like the Green Skies proposed. So if the city were to default, like stop paying for the energy, we'd have to pay that fee. It's based on the value charged in the agreement or fair market value. Hopefully we can get that removed, but I think it's very unlikely that the city would default pay bills. There's also ongoing access to these properties. If there's something that needs to be fixed, they typically take a couple of years. So I wanted to mention that. But they're also required not to interfere with normal operations in the schools, house, and and the last thing is the power purchase agreements language they propose does have some indemnification. If the city were to commit acts of negligence or willful misconduct, or prevent the company from connecting electric grid, they could seek out compensation. We're also trying to get that removed. The previous agreements that Giovanni helped get executed did not have that kind of, but I want to mention that since it has financial implications. Let's see. The last thing I would say procedurally is that the order, there's some substitute language that's in your packet, and that just clarifies that a landfill site is just a lease, the original order that was a little weird. And it also explains the rule change I mentioned, which weren't in the original order. So it's a lot, but it's exciting. Hopefully it helps us generate some renewable energy here in the city, develop some land that's really not doing a whole lot for us, and save some money and generate some revenue.
Thank you for your presentation. I remember I was always asking our directors about that landfill and why aren't we taking, we should be taking advantage of the sun that's there. I'm glad that that's actually happening because there are other municipalities that do that. Landfills like But just to clarify, the mention of one-time 5-year term, 5-year extension of the
Yes,
contract,
for
that's
the-
after the 20 years, though,
For
right?
the power purchase agreement, yes,
That's after the 20.
correct.
And is there any type of protection for these solar panels? Vandals don't. Is there any concern about vandalism?
The landfill site's difficult to access if the waste authority is gated, but there would be a fence installed around the perimeter of that, around the top of the landfill. The rooftop systems, I think, are difficult to access. Just get on the roof. There was a question, I think it was Tom Lynn that asked the same thing about vandalism with parking canopies. So we did ask Green Scouts about that. Basically, these are pretty large steel structures. It'd be pretty difficult for someone to vandalize. Had issues like that in the past. But if the structures were vandalized, they still operate these arrays. So their insurance would pay to get protected from one vandalism. And it's in their interest to make sure it's working because they're only paid electricity they produce.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth emphasizing, again, you would not own, right, typically buying electricity in green post that to the arrangement, on many of our buildings, school buildings over the last 5 to 10 years. These are probably around 10 years at this point under this sort of arrangement. To Richard's point, it stays the responsibility of the owner of the array. And so unless we're doing something very negligent, then that's where some of the other provisions could kick in. But, having a parking lot and having canopy there, there's no expectation that people aren't able to walk up to it or walk into it or anything like that.
Okay, now we have 2 things going on. One is with our facilities, Q House and some schools, and then the other part is landfill. It's the same company, one contract for both.
Each site is an independent contract.
So each site is an independent contract. You said something about buying back energy, because we're not buying back energy from the landfill.
Yeah, that's with
Let's
the
just clarify
yeah.
the 2 separate
So
as far as buying back and donating.
in the landfill situation, we are being compensated for hosting this array, and that are back to the grid. We have to know that there's sufficient electric load owned by the city, so that offsetting that electricity generation. So in this case, that array would power the electrical needs for 200 Orange Street for the whole year. But we're not actually purchasing that energy, it's getting sold back. For the other location, yeah, sure.
On that, while we're on the landfill.
Yeah.
How would we default? You mentioned we would default. No, we are leasing that property to Green Skies, $72,000 per year over 20 years.
Right.
What would we default on? Or am I getting confused?
I would imagine if we were to demolish the electric service or something like that, would constitute a default if we're no longer able to connect to the grid. The default scenarios for the city on a street at the top of the landfill is pretty small. Like, what sort of things would trigger that? Obviously, buying the electricity, that would be not paying for that. With the other stuff, this would be a default as well. But they sit there, they collect photons, they cool steam. That's kind of what they do. There's not a whole lot going on, and really, I don't think there's a high risk of default on that part of the city by any means.
And the landfall, do we have a landfill obligation?
To the landfill?
Yeah.
So they pay us.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're paying us, but we don't have any, we're providing something.
The
So-
land.
and just the land. Just want to make sure.
And then into a service.
And then as far as you were wanting to explain the facilities, our facilities.
Yeah, then at our facilities, we will be purchasing energy from them at a rate that, for 200 Woodland Green and the Keep House, it's below what we're currently paying. For the school location, it's slightly above because they're depending on the cost of the camping. But if you look at financial estimates, you all see a 3% increase in utility rates, which is roughly my historical increase. So over that 20-year period, for one, I believe you start saving in the third year, one in the sixth year. But even for the first few years, it's a very modest amount of money. I think it's entirely possible that, if you had a higher escalation rate, if power prices go up the way they are, that, you'd be living in earlier years with those.
So initially it's going to cost us more than what we're paying now.
I don't actually think that's the case. Like, we did an analysis, it's an extremely conservative analysis. So one of the challenges that you have in analyzing these rates is that you have your electric bill has three pieces, right? It has a generation charge, a transmission charge, and a distribution charge. The most of those rates, especially for residential, are based on kilowatt hour. I buy a unit of electricity, I pay for that unit of electricity. We would, again, when we're doing what's called net metering at these four sites, we're buying the electricity from the array. However, the way the bill works is that there's also something called a demand charge, which is not so much how many units of electricity, but how quickly, how big is the pipe, if you will, of electricity coming in. So that makes analysis somewhat tricky. I think the analysis that Steve's done more or less ignores any benefits from the solar array for that. Now, there may end up being some benefits to that. I think it also probably underestimates some of the other charges that we've seen, and that's why, I think the very worst case scenario is that it's relatively flat in a couple of years for those sites. Overall, the whole deal is cash positive from day one, any way you slice it. But I think these guys were extremely concerned in analyzing the rate structure, and that the actual savings are, start from day one. So fairly good at that.
What is our approximate utility costs for these buildings? All those numbers?
Not at my fingertips.
You could always get it
Yeah.
for us. I guess I'll go through the chair, which is smart. But I think it'd be a good base for us too. It's my finance committee.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, correctly on that sort of size building for electricity, yeah. But no,
for
free
all.
sheet system.
For each facility. So it's about $5,000.
1 to 5,
1 to 5. for
depending
each
on
of
the
those.
size. 200 would be small.
Yeah, we'd have to look. Some of the schools, are utilizing fairly. But yeah, I think to Giovanni's point about demand charges, the financial estimates we use didn't include anything related to demand charges. Which, for a school, if you imagine a demand charge, it's like, we've had some really warm days recently, and the air conditioning systems are on in everyone's facilities. So in the afternoon, there's this huge spike in demand, and so you've got to charge to discourage people from using energy then. But schools can't just turn those systems up. So in that situation, we're still going to be paying the same fixed rate to the solar carport for that energy, rather than paying the cost of energy.
I mean, if you look at our unit cost, we use an how much we're paying for, say, divided by the number of kilowatt hours we have, that's usually around 18 to 20 cents a kilowatt hour. Our per kilowatt hour rate on the solar arrays is, I forget the range. I think I'm starting with that.
Yeah, I think the new house is 9 cents,
Right.
and then Hill Central is 14 cents. So it's, yeah, I think it's,
I mean, if you did a straight math of what we're paying now, and what we're paying for these are less and substantially less. The trick is figuring out how the demand charge gets sort of changed and all of that. Typically, and peak air conditioning load. Of course, your peak air conditioning load is when it's hot in the summer and the sun is shining on your school, and you're getting lots of solar. There's also when your solar arrays make a lot of electricity. So there's some very interesting interactions that happen with the rate that way, and that's why it's harder to give you a strict answer exactly what we're saving today versus there. And so really, I think you could say that at worst we're pretty much cost neutral, and then we see savings to Mr. Winter's point accumulate over time.
Committee members, any questions? Are there just
So when I took the school, there's a sign that says solar located panel on the page. So can you say how many schools have something like this already? Can approximately, and
Yeah.
sort of, is the
I used to know
plan,
this off the top of my head.
and is the plan to try to get them on every school or upgrade them?
So
or
every
what's the
school
overall
whose
thinking?
roof can support a large enough array, so there's like the sound school really doesn't have any roofs that have a large enough actually viable for a deal like this. They usually look for about 100 kilowatts. Any roof that is structurally sound and big enough has an array on it. Now this is the first time that we've done, to the point of this is our third time that the landfill and the parking start to be, the prices of those things have come down enough for us to chase that. So I looked at it, years ago, and it was, we were going to lose a lot of money from day one. We did it at the time. Now we're getting $70-something thousand a year in money, cash flow guaranteed from the landfill. And everything else is, cash flow positive from the first thing. So, once the technology will continue to watch, do I think we're going to be renewing any of these agreements in the future? No, we're going to go to whatever solar panel is there, right? The efficiency gains are still that very curve. But I think we are saving very significant money. And especially when we see some spikes in the market like we did a few years back, really see some things there.
yeah, or even the spikes in the market we just seen this last winter, and we're likely to see again this winter. We have this level of geopolitical instability with natural gas. Our grid is still heavily reliant on more than half of our electricity comes from gas. In the winter, that gas sometimes has to be brought in with liquefied natural gas tankers, and that's when we see these shocks like winter. There are 21 schools that have solar arrays, and one, I think, to your point, like, well, why are we're doing a couple solar parking arrays, but why aren't we doing more solar parking? Right? The really large parking lots are at our high schools, and the reason there is that the state needs to work with the utilities to figure out how to allow for multiple arrays on property. So the reason we didn't put something across or Hill Career or over at, well, I guess there's a different reason for it, Hill House. But for those two, because of this metering issue, they couldn't figure out how do you meter with multiple arrays. I do think.
Interestingly, it wasn't a problem previously because we actually do have two separate arrays in Hill House, but now it's a problem.
Another opportunity that I think would be really interesting for us to look into are battery storage systems. Again, to Mr. Zinn's point about these demand charges, if you have a battery, you're charging with your solar, drama battery. It can also help with resiliency. So if that school needs to be used in case of emergency, folks could go there to charge their cell phones and stay out of harm's way.
One other question, maybe slightly outside of your purview, but I've always, we see the signage, but has there been real education for the kids about what's happening? And it'd be nice if you go in and explain it to the kids, or somehow connect the fact that that's in their own school and how it's benefiting them and all of us.
I think that's a great idea, and it's something that came up at the Finance and Operations Committee report today. And I think part of that is like, we have all this solar in schools, but you can't see it unless you're like up on top of East Rock or West Rock. What you can do would be great if we had some sort of like national park style signage that explains, hey, this is what this is outside your school. Here's what it's doing. I think there's like tons of curricula you can pull off the internet about, you know, on a sunny day, how much electricity is this array generating for your school?
I vote for the Steve or to talk about solar
Rather than a
show.
panel.
Okay. Alder Ficklen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lee Cruz has not paid me to say support for the Miller's suggestion. And this is more of a comment, just a personal comment. I'm convinced that our young, we talk about reading skills and their attention deficit disorders and not being interested in school. I'm convinced, this is my own bias, that the young people are so distraught and disappointed about adult making sure that the world doesn't blow up. So anything we can do kind of help them to see that something is happening, help with their education. I'm convinced if we go to a school, you towards that next year, going to be more attentive, going to be better. I'm convinced that the attendance is going to be up. I'm convinced that the young people need to see that we're proactive and that they're so often depressed and traumatized that they need to see that some adults are kind of be an adult and help. So your point is so on target. I'm not an educational, I'm an educational degree, but I'm convinced that the depression and the lack of interest and the absentee rate is because of their seeing the world going to pot to and so the tour with you and others is so important for you to have a speaking tour. And also have ambassadors. We see all the climate change protests and the students writing posters. You can see their angst and their trauma about us not responding to their world, 20, 30, 40 years, but blowing up. So I support some leaders not able to say this to Sarah, but I would anyway. So it's just a comment I have to make. Thank you, man.
I just have a comment. I always say, very good. Steve always seems to come up with something. This is very good.
Questions? The 72,000, that go to the general fund, or would it be a renewable energy fund?
That is a great question, and I think that's certainly under your purview as the ultimate financial authority for the city. I think it's a really interesting idea. Policy-wise, when there are proposals for carbon taxes, if you're looking to invest in, lowering our air pollution, lowering emissions, Alder Ficklen's point, like showing that we're making positive change on this, doing something like that would send a strong signal and would help, provide on for things that might not otherwise happen.
To very narrowly answer the question, is that absolutely also
Unless we create a new line item for renewable energy.
Correct.
We talk about that, but we can discuss that, and it goes to the general fund, so it's still increasing our budget. Okay. Oh, what is the reputation of Green Skies Clean Energy? I know they've been around, we've used them. Any concerns?
They have a really wide body of work in the Northeast. And yeah, comparing their portfolio to the other two respondents, they really stood out in terms of work that they've done. And then also the type of work that we've done with solar canopies and with landfill. They have 7 or 8 other landfill projects that we're working on this year. So I think they're very experienced in terms of executing on these kinds of deals, both doing the installation, but also finding the financing and lining up all the different pieces of the project development. So I think, yeah, I think the both we've talked about this, that they've done well in terms of maintaining their systems. I do think with projects like this, in the long run, in like 10, 20 years, I can't say for sure that they would stick on the system. Sometimes, you know, like we see with property developers, they end up selling the asset to someone else. But I think with the appropriate language in the contract, we make sure that, to Mr. Chen's point, they're carrying out their responsibilities in terms of the systems, so generating electricity. I think the good thing is incentives are really aligned here. They want those panels to be making money for them, and we get to capture some of the savings.
They have kind of, but what if
Typically in a project like this, if the company goes bankrupt, their lenders will step in because the lenders have a lot of money tied up in the project. They want to see that it's generating flow. So we have what's step in right. We can say, great, Green Sky says defaulted, but we're going to step in and make sure we can still maintain the systems, keep them operational. That having been said, absent like equipment failure, these kinds of systems really require minimal maintenance. They run once or twice a year to check that things are operational. The inverter, so the brains of the system, 10, 15 year panels. There are some solar panels that reach a 50-year mark and continue operating. They're not at the same efficiency level as where we started, but you know, they're not high maintenance items.
I mean, look at this, if you have complete abandonment, just everyone disappears. We still have a very expensive asset on roof that is generating electricity that people aren't building this.
I expected that.
That's not necessarily gonna hurt our feelings.
Right. And, you know, just as I'm flipping through there, there's an example of a parklet, a picture in our packet, and we do get snowstorms. Snow going to affect the solar version of,
Yeah, I think
who will clean it?
if there's enough snow accumulation, it'll block the panels from generating electricity. They melt up. They are pitched to so they can slowly chip snow or get but yeah, this question also came up at the board a bit, and although Green Skies is maintaining the panels and they have strong interest in them generating electricity, I don't think that somebody else like squeegee them.
No.
That's not part of the.
You take the hit on 15, 20 a year.
But we have.
But the weight of the snow or ice won't affect them.
No, they're built to, yeah, I mean, all of these have to be, at least, you know, drawings with electrically, structurally, and, you know, has to be built to building code.
And we'll have the opportunity, yeah, both the building department and the will have opportunity to review all those plans to make sure that they check.
Any other questions? Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
It's really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Please remember the substitution language.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we need to do that, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So someone would need to.
What page, do you know what page it's on?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, while we search for it, Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on the items regarding solar panels? And for a third time, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 3, which is the public hearing to discuss the environmental stickers of the city of New Haven. And I will ask Alder Pittman, who is the maker of this communication, to come forward. And I see that we also have Mr. Ramos from our department. Would you like to come forward too? Okay. And just as a reminder, please state your name and address for the record, please. And while we're getting organized here, if anyone is interested to speak on this topic, there is a sign-up sheet on the table over to my right for folks from the public to speak on this item. And, you know, also, I just want to make it clear that this is a public hearing. No legislation has been presented. This is to start a conversation about possible legislation, but that will not be taking place this evening. This is just the start, again, of a conversation. Alder Pittman, state your name and address for the record.
Kyle Pickland, working at 300 Bellevue Road. I'll be brief. My major intent is for New Haven to remain in a leadership position, not only throughout the state, not only throughout the country, throughout the world. Many, several states have banned the sale of menthol cigarettes. Several municipalities have already done so. We would be leaders and not followers. The NAACP, which some of you may be familiar with, one of our legacy civil rights organizations, has been an advocate for the ban of menthol cigarettes for some years. In 2013, a sorority by the name of Delta Sigma Theta, one of our black sororities, also started advocating in this regard for the ban of menthol cigarettes. Not to be polemical, but as many of you know, in 1990, women from a federal standpoint had the right to vote. Various states had to agitate and the states will be before things become federal law. States sometimes have to push the envelope forward. So essentially, my interest in this. My interest is, again, for us to be leaders and not followers. And lastly, some may consider this to be an ideological position, but many of the advocates for the ban of menthol because of the has been perceived to be targeted and discriminatory racist approach to get addicting people cigarettes in general, but menthols specifically. So whether you accept that argument or not, the health data is very clear that menthol is addictive. In the political arena, in the market, in the public relations arena, we've been besieged with cool cigarettes and other situations. And whether the manufacturers, Philip Morris, etc., intentionally we're trying to harm our public health, let history decide. There's no question that we need to seize this historical moment and not be a follower and a leader. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Rafael Ramos, Director of Environmental Health, City of New Haven Health Department, 63 Downing Street, New Haven, Connecticut. I'm here tonight on behalf of Dr. Bond, who apologizes that she urgent matter intend to. So I'm here to read the testimony with your permission. As Director of the City of New Haven's Health Department, I am charged with advocating and ensuring that the health and safety of New Haven residents its cap. Tonight, I am here to support of banning the sale of menthol to protect our residents from serious health effects of tobacco use. It is widely known in public health that smoking leads to disease, disability, and harms nearly every organ of the body. As of last year, cigarette smoking remained the leading cause of preventable disease, disability, and death in the United States. And this is no different in our community in Connecticut. According to the American Lung Association in Connecticut, smoking takes an estimated 4,900 lives a year. Why ban menthol cigarettes in particular? Although all tobacco products are addictive, menthol cigarettes are lower, and it's easy to start and harder to stop for most vulnerable populations. Incidence and prevalence. According to the CDC, control and prevention studies show that youth and young adults are more likely to try a menthol cigarette rather than non-menthol cigarettes. Those who start with menthol cigarettes are more likely to continue smoking. The proportion of adults who smoke and use menthol cigarettes has increased in the past 2 decades, even as overall cigarette smoking has decreased. Nationally, in 2021, 39% of middle school and high school students who currently smoke cigarettes reported using menthol cigarettes. Quitting menthol cigarettes is very difficult. People who smoke menthol cigarettes make more attempts to quit smoking and are less successful in quitting than those who smoke non-menthol. Menthol disproportionately impacts vulnerable. The increase in menthol tobacco use has been greater among our most vulnerable population groups, including young adults, young people of color, women, adults, and adults with mental health problems. Targeted marketing. According to the CDC, advertising and promotion of certain tobacco products appear to be targeted to members of racial and minority communities. The tobacco industry has targeted African American communities in its advantage and promotional efforts for menthol cigarettes. Strategies include campaigns that use urban culture and language to promote menthol cigarettes. Tobacco sponsored hip hop bar nights and with samples of specialty menthol cigarettes. In 2018 and 2019, approximately 70% of Blacks or African American adults 18 through 34 years old who currently smoke cigarettes and use menthol cigarettes compared to 39% of white adults before age group. Tobacco use in Connecticut. Although data specifically to menthol cigarette use in Connecticut is not available, we know that the rate of current tobacco use is higher among Hispanic adults, but not very significantly by race. Hispanic 18.2% of non-Hispanic Black, 17.4% non-Hispanic white, 17%. Smoking rates are generally higher among individuals with less college degrees, lower economic status, and those with poor mental health. As the leading public health official in the city of New Haven, I support us joining the other 100 cities who have already taken this measure to reduce disadvantaging harm caused by mental
So you mentioned that there are other cities across the US that have banned menthol. Is it just specifically menthol cigarettes?
As a start of menthol cigarettes, that started a trend on menthol cigarettes because of the lure it has on young people.
And are there any cities in the state of Connecticut that have, or any towns or cities in the state of Connecticut that have banned menthol cigarettes?
I'm not aware of it.
The only reason I ask is just because whereas the state of Hartford, I just wanted to make sure there are no cities or towns in the state of Connecticut that have banned menthol cigarettes.
We're not sure, but we could have some staff to kind of confirm. I know, William Tong, Attorney General, this has been discussed in the state legislature, and it's been in favor of it. So last year, there were even some bills proposed that didn't get out of committee.
Okay, so those have been proposed in Hartford, but nothing has.
At the state level.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
at the state level, but, okay, so it hasn't been
Hartford.
banned. They're having the conversation.
But the city of Hartford.
Okay.
But it has been mentioned in the chat.
Okay, so there's a movement on the state level, but it hasn't come out of, it hasn't got to committee. If I understood that, on the state level.
Correct, correct. For that particular session, that doesn't mean it won't be
Right.
to this session coming.
I just wanted that for clarification, so thank you. Are there any questions from?
Another reason for us to be taking the leadership position.
Understood. But Hartford
May or may not, and even if they
will get confirmation on that. Question from William regarding.
I'll start by saying thank you for bringing this forward. I've learned a lot in preparation for this hearing about why menthol. I was wondering if you could talk about what opposition there is to this that you're aware of, and what your answer is.
This is a controversial issue, and there are Black leaders that are also opposed.
Just wondering, I'm sure we'll hear some people who are not for this, and I just want to give you the kind of address.
Oh, yeah.
What, the standard criticism of this kind of thing.
I'll let those that feel that they have a legitimate position to their opposition to faulty in my estimation. It's a controversial issue. Leadership requires taking the courage and basing your decision on the evidence. Certainly economic factors kick in, I think, to some people that are opposed to the menthol ban. But as I mentioned before, the women's right to vote, the Martin Luther King holiday, as you may know here, is, I digress, Connecticut made the third state to establish the Martin Luther King holiday before it became a federal holiday. So sometimes we cannot wait for the federal government, the FDA in particular, to take action. We have the leadership position here in terms of our local sworn responsibility. So you may hear today from the retail association, et cetera, that are opposed, and you can imagine that's not a surprise that our retail association opposed. And there have been some Black national leaders that have already that position. But I think the opposition is impotent, futile, and not progressive.
Thank you. Just one other question, which is there anything in state law that would doing this? Are there any barriers to do it just legally?
Not that I am aware of.
Sure, we should consult with there's over almost 100 or more municipalities who decided that it's in the best interest of the residents to increase its kind of proof that whatever legal barriers they may not be already we can change that. So if it's just one or two cities, that would be, we can maybe discuss that. So it's the trend, and it's been long-standing that this is a negative impact on our society and on improvements of potential target. Intentionally. So it's a position that we can no longer stand for that to happen here in our beloved city.
Thank you for the information, and thank you for bringing it forward.
So with that being said, it could be a municipality that decides, to ban menthol cigarettes, but who's to stop those individuals, the smokers, to go to the next town over?
Right.
It's not, but, and I guess it leads to, is it worth waiting to see what the state does? Which if the state does go a ban of menthol cigarettes, it'll maybe easier to digest. And not have
I submitted the ordinance to represent my own opinion that courage sometimes, but don't wait for others to kind of jump on the bandwagon if you want to leave the bandwagon. The FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, there is a proposed national ban that has been lobbied and delayed for several years. So this has larger ramifications than this little overview. But yeah, but first, I think that and these themselves and this. I think I sworn these months, all of us were sworn in. I were sworn in by the mayor. It was, I guess, was it did Duffno that swore you in, or was it John Daniels,
No.
or was it Toledo? You've been there for a while.
No, Tony Garfield.
But my point is, that when we were sworn in, that did not say anything about any other cities or even regions.
No, and I guess my fear is that the very people who are trying to protect are still not going to be protected completely. To another, they will purchase from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I look at it where bigger effort really want to have team.
It's obviously my hope that if we take the leadership position, that other towns will kind of not be so scared. And they're sworn to also ensure the health of their residents.
Because, I mean, smoking in general is bad for your ears, and when there's temptation there for something that was geared, such as menthol cigarettes, to encourage smoking, it's and leads to, you know, as you mentioned, all those other health concerns, healthcare.
If I remember, it reminds me, smoking was allowed in restaurants and bars. And when the trend started to prohibit people from smoking in bars and restaurants, people said, well, my restaurant will close down, my bar, nobody will come. But that's not true. People still come, they started going outside to smoke. Now people are getting tired of standing outside in the rain and in the cold smoking and just out.
Any other questions? Committee members? Okay. Thank you for your presentation on behalf of Director Bond. Alder, you can come back. I'm going to open it up. Do we have a list? We have a list. Okay. Okay, so we do have a list, and I will follow this in the order that I pick these up. So we have, is it Richard DeJesus? And once again, I will ask for your name and address for the record, and then you can proceed with your testimony. And also, I just want to make it clear again, you know, we're all here to just hear each other's stories, not to be disrespectful, but to just listen and have a conversation, and, you know, make sure that we all understand the whole implications of what this type of legislation could lead to. So with that, state your name and address for the record. I'm afraid to touch that microphone. That one's good. That one's good. You can move it. Okay, you may want to move it so it's facing you and everyone can hear you.
Is that good?
Yeah, perfect.
My name is Richard DeJesus, and I live at 232 Village Road in Monroe, Connecticut. Good evening, Madam Chair and Board. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I apologize for my appearance. I come from an emergency at one of our properties for a plumbing situation. I was supposed to be tonight with my board. We are part of the Latino Community Association. We're going to speak today a little bit about the ban of the ordinance and share some economic and social impacts and what that means and what that'll bring to local business. If it is the board, I'd like to bring points on the subject. These businesses have deep, extensive relationships with their communities. You know, shop owners lend to neighbors by creating tabs, small stores, where the people don't have funds to purchase. By prohibiting certain sales, they wouldn't be able to do these things. We saw these relationships flourish during COVID, where people couldn't get out. So if you have a small store, a local small store, and people can't get out to the supermarkets because of the flood, snowstorm that we saw in the city of Bridgeport in 2012 or 13, I think it was. These small stores are a supplement to that. So you can go out to that store and get your milk, your eggs, or this, and that, but you're not going to make your drink. You're going to want for one thing and the other for the other. And when you create a tab, a small tab on the store, you're putting pressure on those stores, but they're lending out sales for that. But sales, when you take away certain products that are leading products in those stores, it creates a problem. Everything that we understand today goes on the rise. Electricity, rent, gas, milk. The profit in the top cost margin, small business, that's not the price. So while they're selling milk for a high price, the amount of money that they're making on the milk and bread and eggs hasn't changed. It's still the same. It's impact. But it's the volume of business that keeps them alive. People come in and sell a small profit that keeps them alive. Eliminating customers by banning products isn't going to help that. Some suppliers are now supply these products won't come to these stores because they're not selling the specific product at the larger product. So smaller products now, that gets the gift supplier would have to be added a delivery charge now to get them. So they're selling a number of product now, and I'm not going to bring it to your store because in New Haven we don't sell that. The smaller product that I need that I would normally deliver to you, I can't deliver to you because it costs us. I have to add a delivery charge to that smaller product to make it profitable to deliver. That's again affecting these smaller businesses. People don't patron establishments that they can't get everything that they need. I can't get my in my cigarettes all in the same store, from a different store. And that'll bring me out of town, it'll bring me to a different situation. It's not effective, it's not profitable for the city of New Haven. The efforts that you're going to move forward in trying to enforce this ordinance to both police enforcement and the courts in prosecution ends up in an added cost that pushes the public in some form, some sort of tax. What do we really end up with? All black folks affected. That's what products at higher concentration. The overall idea of municipality should be involved at this level is concerning to us. I think this is something that the municipality shouldn't be involved in. We shouldn't be dictating to our people what products they should produce, as long as the products that they're producing are legal.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions from committee members? I'm going to assume you are a shop owner, convenience store. No? Oh, just from the association?
I'm part of the association.
Okay. What is the percentage of people that are buying cigarettes along with their groceries or products in general?
It's not so much the percentage of, it's the product does, it's a moving product, so it does sell. So it's not so much that one store is selling an exorbitant amount of cigarettes, but it's the fact that it's there, and because it's there, I'll go over there and buy other products. I don't know if it's not.
Yeah, no, it does. I guess I'm just trying to figure out if it's X percent that are buying cigarettes out of that percentage of cigarette buyers, what percentage are menthol? What is this great loss of? And I understand.
I think you misunderstood what I was trying to. I think the loss doesn't come from the loss of the loss of the menthol sale. It comes from the lack of sales that you're getting because of the menthol sale.
And I guess that's where I'm trying to get to, is there that much sales out that businesses? I don't smoke, so I don't know.
I don't smoke either, but I don't think it's the question is, if I have stores inside of New Haven, if it's one pack I'm selling a week to that one customer that then has a brother or sister or cousin that come to our store, and they go out, they need another store owner, they're getting, they're doing this, that, and the third. They created, it's not just the menthol cigarettes, and we have to understand that these local small businesses create relationships with the community. So once I create a relationship at my store, sometimes people will drive 2 or 3 blocks, or sometimes even out of town, to go to a store and the sandwich is specific, the relationship is specific. So it's not just the menthol cigarettes have because one last week, we can say, well,
And thank you for that explanation, because the relationship part makes a lot of sense. We all have our favorite.
literally, it's just.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you for
very
your
much.
time and
Thank
for
you.
coming out. Okay, the next, it's not a name, it's actually Chapel Mini Mart. Good evening. Address for the record, please.
Yes. My name is Mike Patel, and I am belonging to Chapel Mini Mart. Address is 1182 Chapel Street, New Haven. And I have another stores on Valley Avenue also, Liquor World of New Haven. 525. Okay. I am not supporting to ban menthol cigarettes in Connecticut and New Haven. We are the major cigarette selling menthols and normal menthol cigarette, mostly Newport. Normally in my grocery stores, we normally order the cigarette weekly almost 125 to 130 cartons per week. Out of them, mostly around 70 to 80 cartons only menthol per month. So every week we have over 70 imports and some other Marlboros and other things like 1 or 2, 3 cartons per month. Same thing as a liquor world also, mostly around 70, 80 cartons weekly. The majority really only one is cigarettes. First thing, you guys thinking about to stop the Newport menthol cigarettes in the. So we are going to stop to smoke the cigarettes to the customers, because if we are not selling menthols, they are going to put down. Plus, if we don't have any menthol, the customers will not leave and they go to the different station and everything. Normally we lose for the market.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Next on the list is, again, it's Mobile Mart.
When one person wrote the name of the store, so everybody wrote the name
Yes.
of the store. Sorry about that. And thank
So,
you
and
for
just
allowing us.
Yes, thank you for being here. Name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Raj Patel, and my address is 15 Inman Street, West Haven, Connecticut, but I have a store in New York. About what percentage is menthol. So in my store, in New Haven, 85% is the menthol cigarette sales. So out of 85%, all those people who comes in the morning or afternoon or whenever, they're not only buying only pack of cigarettes, they are buying the gas, soda, or the coffee or snacks or whatever. So when you don't have a menthol cigarette only in here, my store is only 500 feet away from these towns. So that customer will just have to go 500 feet away to get a menthol cigarette. So banning the menthol in New Haven is not going to solve the problem of people not having menthol cigarettes. But it's going to have an impact that we are going to lose more significant business just because of the menthol cigarette.
Because if they go to the next town, like there's so many gas stations there too. So they're gonna buy the gas, they're gonna buy all, anything else, whatever they're gonna buy, they're gonna buy. So that I have to lay off my employee. And I gotta work harder myself. If I can make the and win. And another thing is, when you don't have a mental secret in town, sometimes it lands in illegal hands and there's illegal fuel stops. And then there is no idea. At least at our gas station, we are responsible for checkers. If anybody comes in, we always ask for ID. And it makes sure those, not the people are under search. So those are a couple points. And the rest of everybody saying the main impact. New Haven, I think 90% of the stores, their mental security is 80+%. This is the New Haven. Or friends and talk to other people. So just imagine, like, let's say you are in the center of the town is different, but like all the surrounding towns, and how long we can reach in another town from New Haven, even if you are in the center. 15 minutes. So all the New Haven stores are because of the mental. It's not like only and it's not only the cigarettes, but everything else also goes with it. Because if just in case if you go to buy a cigarette, pack a cigarette, or and you need a gas, you need all the other stuff. You're gonna buy at one spot. You're not gonna go only for the cigarette to the next town and buy this stuff.
Unless I'm on E.
Unless you have a you gotta stop at the But it happens once in blue. So banning menthol only in Human is like, I wish they banned the complete cigarette all over the United States. We are supporting that. No problem. We are here for public health and, we love that. But banning it in one time, it's just losing more jobs in our town.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And if you could just stop it. Sunoco Food Mart on State Street. Is there someone who would like to testify on behalf of Sunoco Food Mart, 884 State Street? Okay, all right.
Sorry about that.
No, thank you. Yes, we have the address. If he comes back, perhaps he went to the, if he comes back, we'll call him back up. And let's see, there is, I don't know if I could read this. Shell Food on Townsend Avenue. Good evening. Just state your name and address for the record.
Jignesh Patel, 1183 Townsend Avenue, so I'm supporting that kind of cigarette. I have so if I start the cigarette, people buy over there and he's like parking and everything. So it's more problem. That's it.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this item? I'm sorry, are you Mohammed? Okay, I just got your sheet.
Yeah, I thought that somebody's gonna pick it up.
Yes, we got it. We will not forget you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, my name is Mohammed Allah. I had
just state the name and address.
282 Dixwell Minimum, 282 Dixwell takes from Minimum. And the other one is Howard Minimum, 660 Howard Avenue. The reason we would regarding the way you guys proposed for doing the new port, especially I don't smoke either. I want to be bad. But the reality is, because I'm doing the business, is in New Haven is 80% people smoking menthol. If you guys stop it, other things I sell, people gonna go up Hamlet or Shelton or somewhere else. They will, if a smoker, they will go somewhere else. And they bring the cigarette in this town, they smoke in the street. They try to do it. They realize they cannot stop. So they did it. Still talking about, but it's not happening. So my solution is here, if you stop, we can't stay in the business because they come to cigarette, they buy like 80% some things we do sell region of the local cigarette. If they go somewhere else, how I'm gonna pay my rent, how I'm gonna pay my employees, and how I'm gonna take care of myself. We put a lot of money in the business, which you guys know in here you're not cheap. Everything is nowadays is expensive. So like I took the revenues, I already paid them. I cannot stop this pay. I have to pay monthly rent. So where am I gonna get the money? If you guys take away this cigarette, people are gonna buy other stuff. They're gonna go somewhere else. So I have to shut down and I will be on a bad situation where I'm gonna go. I can't go to work anymore. Because I did 60 years. No, I don't want to do it anymore for myself only. I need to, I work hard, I make it. For some reason, if you guys want to shut down my store, you will not be able to do. So
Shut down any stores. And I hope that your store doesn't sell just menthol cigarettes that help
not only
sustain.
cigarette doesn't make money that much. The producer make money, the factory make money, middleman make money. We don't make money. We make money out of stuff because they come. They are addicted. Whoever smoke, they are addicted. They're gonna come to buy cigarette. So they buy something else. We make money in there. One pack of cigarette you sell for 50 cents or 25 cents. But if I can sell one soda, I can make 25 to 30 cents. So for one thing, I'm going to lose everything. So if you guys think that this is fair, this my opinion is not fair. Because in this country, I see all over, the smoke, marijuana, and going legal but every year. Marijuana, even drinks, alcohol. They drink so much and they kill somebody on the road, they grab the road. Smoke doesn't happen. The smoker says, if I smoke, will go away some stress from my head. But alcohol makes people kill. And alcohol, I will support more. If you want to say something to me,
One question, I just wanted to clarify something that you said. You said on the one hand, the menthol cigarettes don't make a lot of money. On the other hand, you said that they're like 80% of your business. Could you just clarify which one is true?
Because cigarette, they come for it in the store. They spend like suppose $10 for $12 for cigarette pack, but they buy sodas, chips, and canned food, raw food, other things I sell and do. They say, okay, I'm not going to replace one kind of stuff. I don't want to have to go to cigarette one place, for other things one place, for other people. I want to go one step be done. I need this and this quick. For any company,
I
you
understand.
need to make money too.
Can you just clarify, is it accurate that 80% of your sales from that. Is that what you said?
No, I save 80%, I do 80 hours, I'm selling. Cigarette?
20% is alcohol and 80% other things, approximately.
Not the cigarette, like if I make a business like a $500 today, maybe I sell $100 from the rest of I sell other stuff.
So they come in to buy the cigarettes, to buy other
Other
items
stuff,
as
yeah.
well to their.
Yeah, that's more bigger.
Understood.
And I provide like, if my store is like a food worker, daily in the morning work. I cannot keep them. They're gonna lose their job. But from the beginning, there is no cigarette. For working in this country totally, then okay. In this country, no cigarette. It's doing everywhere. But if they add in the TV for cigarette, they add everywhere. Marijuana legally. Just the difference is name, classical name come out. But everything, at the end, all the things that makes it out. So stop everything. People gonna do something good. But then who will sell that good thing? We don't want to sell to make money. We need to make money. We don't want to kill the people.
Understood. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank
Follow.
you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on behalf of this item? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Please come forward. And for a third time, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Please come forward. Okay, seeing none, do I hear a motion to close the public portion?
I make a motion to close the public portion. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. The public portion has been closed. Actually, all in favor of closing the public portion, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Public portion has been closed. Do I hear a motion to move item number 1?
Here I make a motion to move item number 1.
Item 1 has been made. Do I hear a second?
Okay.
Okay, item 1 has been seconded. Any discussion on item number 1, which is regarding the funds from $650,000? Alderman.
I'll just say that I was part of advocating for the river park area with process with the city engineer and our state delegation, and just really appreciate everybody's collaboration and bringing the funds we need.
Any other discussion? Alder Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I myself have been in deliberation with CAO and regarding our parks, and we do have a few parks in my area, and hopefully funding will come to keep that most of our parks that work through these grants. Maintain our parks. So this is a good idea. For these funding from the. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Alder Ficklen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really pleased to see this investment, but I just want the record to show, both Atlantic Little League, the money, that does not mean the sign that was created for sale. Sell sign, everything that goes in a sign. This was not, that money is not going to for that. I just want the record to show that that's independent sources.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? I would just add that anytime we see funding for our parks, it's always a positive thing. It gets people outside and enjoying that. And I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. During COVID, it's the parks that actually, I think, saved a lot of our mental health going out and being out in the open air and forgetting a little bit for a few minutes that we were in a pandemic. So anytime we get funding for improvements to our parks, it's always a positive, and I think the state delegation understands that. We are so lucky to have so many of our delegates that fight for funding for us here on the city level. Particular Senator Looney, and I know that Representative Palillo worked hard also to get us this funding. So it is greatly appreciated, and I know that we on this board also appreciate any help that we can get for improvements that don't come out of our general fund budget. So, any help is always appreciated. Any other discussion? No, seeing none, we can vote. All in favor of item 1, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Abstention? The ayes have it. Item passes. Do I hear a motion for item 2?
Make a motion to item 2. Second.
Item has been moved and seconded. This is in regard to the solar power purchase agreement. Discussion.
Madam Chair, this site has been sat there for quite some time. And to go back over the history of this site, this is range walled, and it's not a buildable site at this time. So it seems quite fit that solar farm, this would be appropriate site, having a solar farm. And I want to thank our city department, having the vision to use this site for that. So on with the other schools, et cetera. And the bigger picture of this is, for me, is not the dollar. It's more of reducing our carbon footprint. We have a great, we have our residents are younger with asthma, which carbon monoxide, et cetera, contribute. So this would be a responsible in reducing our carbon. So with that, I support this.
Not only is it renewable energy that will offset that's good for the environment, but it's also bringing in $72,000 a year off of land that we have that's just sitting there with great sun that lands on it. So this is taking advantage of land that's not buildable, but buildable on other levels, which in this case is, putting solar panels and allowing a company to come in and manage it and lease that unit from us. And then, something that I'd like to see done is a renewable energy fund. I think we should have that conversation as well. In regard to the schools, all our schools should have solar panels. All our buildings should have, all our city buildings should have some kind of renewable energy source to save on utilities. And hopefully they will continue to improve and allow residents to also be able to afford installation of solar panels. So this is a great thing, and I hope and encourage my colleagues to vote favorably. Any other discussion?
Well, Madam Chair, I just want to make sure that you all are on the newest of the newest.
Yes.
As long as you say that, we're good.
Yes, and just to be clear, the Director Winters mentioned that there was some updates to our documents, and I want to be sure that that is an updated version of the old one. As long as we're all in favor of voting on the new updated version, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Item passes. Do I hear a motion to move item number 3?
Madam Chair, make a motion to move item number 3. Okay.
Item has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on item 3 regarding
the public hearing.
With my thank Alder Strickland for this forward. I think we heard a lot of reasons why this is very important to consider. I think I would be in favor of looking at draft legislation for what this would look like. We certainly don't want anybody to lose their income, but I think it's also important to recognize that we are a leader, not just certainly in our region and our state. And if we were to do something like this, it would also for other towns and cities to start the same, would address some of the businesses. So, I mean, national legislation would be great, state legislation would be great. We don't have to those, we have control over what we do here, and I think it would be good looking at this seriously.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We all know that cigarette smoking is hazardous to your health. It's even written, I believe, on the cigarette packages, if I'm not mistaken. I don't smoke, but I'm assuming that it's written that it's dangerous to your health. Smoke is also dangerous for those around you. I've heard some comments about if they smoke, who cares? Well, I do because I don't want to smell their smoke or inhale it. If someone is smoking next to me. And we do, you mentioned asthma earlier. Asthma in this city, and the direction I would like to see is that kind of education. I think some first steps need to be made in educating our youth that cigarette smoking is hazardous to your health, and reach out to I hope that's being done. I don't know if it is, but that's where it starts. We all went to high school. We all saw some of our friends pick up a cigarette and start puffing on it, and then all of a sudden they're buying packs of cigarette weekly. So we need to start there with educating our youth to be sure that they understand the ramifications of smoking anything really. In that case, cannabis came up quite a bit in the conversation. And I also just want to be clear that, this is a read and file item. This was a public hearing to start the conversation. And this was a good start. We were enlightened with some numbers from the health department. The concerns of the Black and brown communities, particularly with the numbers of folks that smoke menthol cigarettes. And it's disturbing. And, and the cigarette companies also have a responsibility. Their goal is profits, but we need to also be aware of people's health. So with that, work, I think, needs to be done. This conversation needs to continue. If someone presents like something as Alder Miller has recommended, then we will hear and see where it takes us. But there's a lot of work to be done. So I saw two hands. I'm going to go Alder Singh first, and then Alder Ficklin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to commend my colleagues for bringing this to our attention. And if we can go back, the AG had working in the because the history was a number teams, etc., was going after this. So I would incline that I would support my colleague that any lobbying in Hartford or AG and have this discussion forward with this menthol cigarette, and hopefully convince I think there's more of a impact on the state. And this, so that's where my thinking is.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just for clarification, what are our next options, Kristen, Julie?
This was a public hearing, and we will read and file this. The next option is for whether the health department department or our office to come up with some kind of legislation and go through the process to incorporate corporation council and then it would come back to the board, probably the legislation committee, where we would have a public hearing from all sides. Yeah, it's a process, but that's where we are. I hope I answered.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I do know everything, as always, so no problem. Be reminded of things. Duly noted. Thank you very much.
And I'll just add, no one wants to see any business from our mom and pop shops. And that's not the case, that's not the direction we want to head towards. I know many of the folks that testified from the mini marts were concerned about losing business, and their concerns are valid. They are very valid. And I hope people are going into their convenience stores to purchase items, but they did bring up some valid points. Our concern. And again, we should encourage also our neighboring towns to follow suit if this were to proceed, because without they following suit, we may not be eliminating the phenomenon. We might diminish it, but I'm not sure we'll eliminate it.
Yeah, I just need to go on the record. It's clear to me, maybe even simplistically clear, it's issue versus people versus party. And I prefer that we vote and do everything in our power to lift up the person rather than the profit. So I think it's clear that that's where the tensions might be. But as far as I'm concerned, my energies will be spent to continue to lift up the people. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alder. Any further discussion on this topic? Okay, seeing none, we will be voting to read and file. All in favor of reading and filing this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it. It will be read and filed. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, folks, we are adjourned. Thank you. I turned it off.